Hi, I'm Kenny Joya. Welcome to another one of my tutorials. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use automation items in Reaper. Now, automation items is a new feature just recently added to Reaper, and it allows us to work with envelopes or automation in a much more unique way, treating them as items or containers. So let's see how this works. I have a track in front of me here, and it's a simple pad. Let's hear it. Let's say we wanted to control the volume on it. Well, we create a volume envelope by hitting V, select it, hit V. Now we can draw an automation very easily. Just right over here, hold down Control on the PC or Command on the Mac, and we can draw automation. Let's say we want to work with that as an item. Well, all we have to do is select the boundaries. Let's choose from bar 3 to bar 5. Then go down over here to the envelope and right-click it. And down over here is automation items. We'll create a new automation item right here. And it looks like this. This is the actual item. And we could treat it as an item just like other items in Reaper. For instance, we could trim it by going over here and trim it out. Notice it loops by default, but we could change that later. We could trim it on this side, in or out. We can copy it by selecting it, go somewhere else, like bar 6, and paste it. We could select it and delete it. And we could also duplicate it on the PC, hold down Control, on the Mac, hold down Command, and just drag it to another spot. Notice when I'm dragging it, you could actually have two on top of each other, and both would be considered. But for now, we'll keep it simple. Let's just drag it to bar 6 right here. Now, by default, these two items are separate. So if I edit this one, it's not going to affect this one, or vice versa. So it's a great way of copying things, but still being able to change them afterwards. But we could also pool them if we want to keep them linked. Let's delete this one. And this time, on the PC, hold down Control and Alt. On the Mac, hold down Command and Option. And now if I drag it, it's going to create a pooled copy, which means these two items are connected. So if I adjust this one gets adjusted as well. Or if I adjust this one changes to match. So they're connected, which makes it very easy for working with different sections of the song. Let's say this is the first verse, and this is the second verse. If you want to tweak the automation here, we only have to do it once, because it's automatically going to happen over here, or vice versa. So those are pooled copies. But afterwards, if you decide you want to change your mind and make them separate, just right-click one of them and go down here and remove from pool. And now they're separate. And you can also tell by the name. When they're pooled, this one's number 1, this one's number 1. But if we remove it from the pool, this one's 2, this one's 1, letting us know they're separate. Now we can also stretch or condense them. Let's say we wanted to stretch this. We can go right over here, hold on Alt on the PC or Option on the Mac, change it to this cursor, and we can stretch it like this, or condense it like this. We could also move the contents inside the item without moving the item. If we go down over here, hold on Alt on the PC, Option on the Mac, the cursor changes to this, and we can move it within the item without actually changing the bounds of the item. Now, if you want to get deeper and really edit this, we could double-click this, and that opens up the automation item properties for this item. Here we could tweak it a little more accurately. For instance, the position is at bar 3. We could change it to bar 4, and it moves there, or 5, or back to 3. We could change the length. Right now it's 2 bars. We'll change it to 4. Like I mentioned before, it's going to loop by default, but if we turn off looping right here, you just get blank space when it opens up. Or we can put this back to 2 bars. We can adjust the start offset right here. Let's put this back to 0, which is how it started. And if you remember before, we moved it inside the contents like this. That readjusts the start offset. See it changed over here? So if you know you want to change it by a certain amount, you could type it in right here. We'll put it back to 0 to go back to the original. We could adjust the play rate right here, make it double, and it plays back twice as fast, or half as fast, like that. We'll go back to normal. Now down over here, we could adjust the baseline and the amplitude of our envelope. The baseline affects how short or tall it is. With volume, it's going to be louder or lower. Where amplitude adjusts the lowest to the highest peak, so it compresses it or expands it. So using both of these, we can readjust our envelopes very easily. And down over here, we could adjust the name. So we can name this volume envelope or just volume to make it easier to tell what it's actually doing. Now down over here, we can create our own custom envelopes to control automation. For instance, we could change this to parametric, and it's going to change it to a parametric envelope, like this. And we can adjust the cycles, or how many times it creates that waveform, in this area. Let's change it to 4. It looks like this. And if I play it now, because it's a volume envelope, it's going to get too loud over here. So let's bring it down with our baseline and our amplitude. So it sounds more like this. Or we could change this to 8, and it'll play 8 waveforms. Or we could change this to triangle, saw, or square. Over here, we could adjust the phase. Right now, with the square waveform, it's playing in the downbeats. But if we move this, it'll adjust the phase, or where it starts. So if I put it to 50, it's going to play in the upbeats. And the same thing with parametric. We can readjust the phase to adjust where it starts in the waveform. Let's put this back, and let's create another envelope on the same track. But it's going to do something different. I have an EQ on this track. So I'm going to make an envelope for the filter here. We can view it right here. And now right down here is our EQ filter. So I could draw it in and hear that. What we could also do is use the item for our filter as well. So let's clear this. And let's bring this down to here. But let's pull it. Control-Alt on the PC, or Command-Option on the Mac. I bring it down. And right now it's pooling. So both the volume and the EQ are doing the same thing at the same time. But we could readjust it with this turned on. So the baseline and the amplitude affects both copies. For instance, with this checked, if I adjust the baseline, they both change. But I could separate them by unselecting this. Now I can adjust the baseline of just the filter or the amplitude. But it doesn't affect the volume, even though they're still pooled. So if later on I want to change this to 4 cycles, they're going to change together, even though the baseline and the amplitude are separate. Or I could adjust the phase, and they all stay together but the baseline and the amplitude are separate for each one of these, but they're still pooled for everything else. Or you could separate them by right-clicking, remove from pool. Now they're completely separate. I can name this one filter and change this one to 4, while this one is still 8. And we can readjust the amp skew so it starts out higher and gets more subtle. Or the opposite, starts out more subtle and gets more aggressive. And do the same thing with the frequency. Start out faster and get slower. Or start out slower and get faster. Now, when you're done with this, and you're really happy with your waveforms, and you might want to use them again in a different project, you could always go to them, right-click them, and hit save. And then later on, go to load, and they're going to appear right here. So you can choose to use them in different projects at any point. And from this menu, we could also split, glue, or remove from pool any of the items we're working on. I should also mention there are many actions that go with the automation items. Type in automation items, and right from here, we can add keystrokes to trigger any of these. To insert a new one, to glue them, to duplicate them, or anything else we want. It can be a lot quicker to create keystrokes to perform these functions. So that's pretty much it for the basics of automation items. They could be used to copy and paste or duplicate or automation or envelopes to different parts of the songs, or also create custom envelopes to create special effects or filter things based on repeating patterns. That's automation items in Reaper. I hope you learned something, I hope you can use it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.